Thank you for joining us here on the Neutral Zone. I am Phil Milani, joined as always by my esteemed colleague, my partner in crime. Really, the best way to describe this person is my everything. It's at Eric Dalala.
Phil, it's Eric in the afternoon.
Silly. We're getting goofy.
Time to get silly.
The way the OTA schedule, the media portion of it stacks up. We have to record in the afternoon.
It's true. We got to know what happened.
Yeah. And so things get a little bit crazy.
But we're here now.
We're here now. And we should mention that Ben Swanson is also, he's here.
Dun-dun-dun.
Yeah.
Dun-dun-dun.
Yeah. Breaking news here inside the podcast studio.
Fan favorite Ben Swanson.
Fan favorite, yeah.
A lot of Bens today.
There's a part of Ben Powers.
Yeah.
And then Ben Swanson.
He was asked, Phil, why he didn't go back to Baltimore.
Couldn't afford him.
That's kind of why Swanson
Spicy
is here, because the Saints couldn't afford him.
Yeah, that's
the Broncos could.
The trade fell through.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They were like, you want how much money?
Yeah. You got to have Broncos money to get.
One of the rare times I would have to restructure my contract to make it bigger. We're going to have to restructure.
Swanson. And it's been raining outside a little bit, so we're surprised that you showed up.
I don't.
A flannel.
Yeah, are you wearing a flannel undershirt or something? Be nice and
Where's
warm.
a flannel? Yeah.
It'd be sweaty.
Yeah. Ooh, that would be sweaty.
This is not flannel.
Not good. Yeah. Oh, well, we should talk about what we're going to talk about on the show.
Let's do it.
We'll talk about what we'll talk about.
Yeah.
If that makes any sense.
We'll talk about that.
Yeah, and then we'll talk about it. We heard from both Pat Surtain II again, and Justin Simmons today.
Yep.
Talk about this secondary coming together. Those are two nice players.
Defensive backs.
A couple of nice players right there.
They are nice. They're nice guys.
Yeah, and nice, like they're good.
Oh, yeah. Also that.
They're good.
Also that.
We'll talk about some of the things that they had to say. Justin Simmons talked about how does an OTA practice feel under Sean Payton?
So we are currently talking about
what we're going to
talk about them talking about something.
They talked.
And we talk about them talking.
We're going to talk about what they talked about.
Right now we're talking about what we're going to talk about them talking.
About, yeah.
Got it. Okay. And we just talked about that.
Yeah, keep going.
Yeah.
It's like infinity. It goes to infinity.
Who knows?
Yeah. The limit, infinity. Okay. So we'll talk about them, describing a Sean Payton practice. What's the vibe like out there? How Justin Simmons is feeling. He's been through a lot of head coaches around here. Does he still get sort of those juices, that excitement going a little bit, And then also Pat Surtain. He was asked, hey, what do you think about these lists of the top corners out there? Hey, PFF thinks Sauce Gardner's the number one corner. Who?
Cares. Did I do that right?
You just learned that. Yeah, learned that. Yeah.
Just learned that.
I think PFF had Surtain at 4th.
Huh?
So he was asked, hey, do you care about that kind of stuff? What do you think he said? We'll talk about it later. We'll talk about it later. And then Sean Payton was asked about Greg Dulcich.
Who?
Greg Dulcich.
Cares.
That was pretty good. That was good.
I'm over this.
I think it's kind of funny.
He could be a joker type of player, not to be confused with Nikola Jokic.
Oh.
Not to be confused. Yeah. But he said, hey, he's got some skills, some traits that you get excited about.
Yeah.
What does that mean?
And
what is Greg
shorts.
Dulcich going to? Yeah. The other day, he walked through a cafeteria, no shirt on. We were like, oh.
That's true.
All the other players, shirts on. Dulcich, no shirt.
Was the hair just like flowing in the wind?
Flowing, yeah.
Oh.
He's got like a.
This is why you come to this podcast. What's going on at the cafeteria?
Where else would you hear that information?
I don't know.
Nowhere.
I think there's a reason for that.
And then Swanson was there. He's like, why does Dulcich not have a shirt on?
Swanson took his shirt off.
Greg Dulcich, yeah. He took his flannels off.
Multiple?
Like, are you wearing a flannel undershirt?
Yeah. It caught the attention. Nobody was paying attention to Dulcich. I mean, I was like, what?
Yeah. What is
Flannel
happening?
pants.
Is that
That small child put his shirt back on?
Take your kid to work day. Did he put his shirt back on? I don't know what he's doing.
off the rails all over.
So we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about that.
We're going to talk about
Just on the table
Dulcich.
of
Anything else we want to talk about? I think that those are the two big things.
Oh,
Yeah.
you'll probably do something about the Nuggets.
Well, everybody was talking about the Nuggets today.
Everybody.
Everybody's talking
Who's
about
going?
it.
Who's not going? What
It
sort
was
of hat are you
excited.
wearing?
Have you texted Michael Malone at all?
Yeah.
Yes. Yes. Patrick got him his number.
Yep.
So
PR guru Patrick Smythe.
PR guru. Yeah.
For those unfamiliar.
Everybody's familiar, I think.
What about
Sean loves bringing
what
up
about J.
Patrick.
Prez Bronk? You think he's familiar?
Yeah, he definitely knows. Yeah.
That is
Yeah.
Patrick.
It could be. You just never know.
You don't know. It could be anybody.
That's the internet. That's the internet. So, yeah, maybe we'll talk a little Nuggets at the end too. What the heck?
Yeah.
We're excited. They've taken over the city.
Yeah.
You drive around the city, there's pop-ups.
There's
all
pirated
over the
merchandise
place. Yeah,
everywhere.
there's merchandise everywhere.
Like, this is not regulated.
Gas stations, convenience store parking lots. If you stop at a red light, you can pick up a Jamal Murray T-shirt if you want.
What is the difference
Whatever
between
you
a
want.
gas station and a convenience store? Those kind of go hand in hand, right?
Well, a 7-Eleven is like a convenience store.
But a lot of those,
Not a sponsor.
No.
Could be if they wanted to, I
A
think.
lot of. I think Conoco is a sponsor, right?
You could go to a Conoco and get some nice gasoline.
Yeah.
They
The
happen
day after
to
a
have
Broncos win.
a convenience store there too. But some places, it's just a convenience store.
Rare.
It's rare, but they're there.
They're there. Got it. Okay.
Yeah, they're there. Yeah. So, yeah, you go down to the bodega.
Yep. The Buc-ee's.
You could get a Bruce Brown
You
T-shirt.
never heard of that, Swanson?
I've heard it. I don't think they have those here.
No, they certainly don't.
Is that a southern
I
thing?
think it's a Texas thing.
Texas. Oh, got it. No free pub. Of
No.
our motto.
Plenty of free puff right now.
So we'll talk about that a little bit. How's that? That's a nice show, I think.
I like it.
Eric, a lot of people like to get involved in the show. It's silly, it's goofy, it's fun. They want to join in on the fun.
That's why Swanson's here.
It's all, it's a
why.
party. That's why Swanson's here.
So I don't have to
won a
listen to it
contest.
later.
He commented enough times, and we were like, just come in the show.
Yeah. How do, other than Swanson being in studio, how do other people get involved?
Yeah, a lot of ways, Phil.
Tell me. Tell me. 707
You
neutral.
can leave an email at neutrals. Don't take my.
Sorry. Well, you
This is
paused
his
there.
part.
I was like,
Sometimes I like to do a pause.
I thought maybe it was an all firing up there.
I mean, today, our head coach, Sean Payton, he took a pause. He was interrupted by a reporter.
Who was it? Who interrupted him?
I don't remember.
Oh, I do not recall.
Sean said, well, I appreciate the question. I'm going to answer this other question that I was just asked.
I'm about to tell a story here.
asked.
It's story time.
Yeah. He has good
He
stories.
gets going.
He has good stories. But so I was just taking a pause. You could leave an email at neutralzoneshow@gmail.com. You can leave a voicemail at 707-NEUTRAL. You can tweet at us directly on Twitter at Eric Delisle with an A, at Phil Milani with a PH,
Non-traditional.
at Cardboard. Oh, no. Don't do that.
Denver Broncos.
Denver Broncos.
Maybe,
happens there?
Maybe I'll reply.
Yeah.
Not much.
Maybe
Not
you saw.
much happens
Maybe you were
there.
at the park and you saw a nice mallard, and you wanted to take a picture. You said that to Denver
I
Broncos.
would like that. Yeah, that would be nice.
Mike Mallardy was a former special
Former
teams
special
assistant.
teams assistant. Yeah. A Colorado guy through and through.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, long tradition here of the Mallory family.
Oh.
Yeah.
I said Mallardy.
Sorry, Mallardy. Yeah. My apologies.
It's okay. At Broncos Phil Milani on Instagram.
Yeah, you could go there. You could go to my Instagram page. Yeah,
Go
it's
there.
blowing
Official. I don't think
up.
so.
The IG. You call it Insta or IG? What do you do?
I think IG.
I think I say Insta.
Oh,
Hit me on Insta.
okay. You got a Finsta or no?
No,
Swanson, you got a Finsta?
I don't even know what that is.
That's teens have like a Finsta, which stands for fake Instagram.
Oh,
And they post photos
fake.
of themselves like being silly.
That kind of sounds like Finna. Like
No, different it doesn't really. It's different
yeah,
sounds.
it sounds like it though, a little bit. Like if you said it fast.
Finsta.
Oh, I got it. Okay, is that where you learned the who cares?
I'm thinking that was from our friend Ike.
Ike, yeah, that's our friend.
Or Phil, you could go to the Broncos official YouTube page, watch the video,
I'm glad
leave
you
a
brought that
comment.
up. I'm glad you brought
We'll
it
read
up.
them right here on the air.
Tom Bosley.
Ooh, new commenter?
Nothing against you boys, but I'm glad Sean is taking the no phones approach right now during practices.
How does he know about that?
That is exactly what
you
this
talked
team
about
needs.
Oh,
He
did
is
we?
exactly what this team needs.
I agree, Tom. He is what this team needs.
No phones.
I don't know how you know about that, Tom.
We talked about it.
Yeah,
I don't remember that.
Yeah, we said no phones.
Sometimes I just say things.
But that time you happened to be correct. XOXO, Mr. X, and Dr. Science. That's their name.
That's a great handle.
You guys are goofy and make the show fun. Happy birthday, Swanson. Good insight so far. I'm curious on our upcoming season. Hope we can stop losing to the Raiders. Let's ride. Have a blessed week. You never know. I don't know what that last part means.
I think it sounded like a threat.
Like,
didn't it?
like I might die.
Have a blessed.
You never know.
Have a blessed week because you never know.
You just never know. It's
true.
Yeah.
This could all come crashing down during this podcast.
Brandon Walker, our friend Brandon.
Of course, from Iowa.
What's up, fellas? Hey. He says, thank you for keeping. That is how he says it. He goes, hey, fellas. That's what he said.
That's
Is that not true? He says,
You do it like from Bridesmaids.
That is. That's a really funny scene. Yeah.
Hey, fellas. That's all we can say.
You can't really
That's all
say
we can
anything
say.
more than that. Yeah.
People should look it up.
Yeah, that's a funny bridesmaid scene. Thank you all for keeping me updated with all things Broncos while I was in Canada fishing.
What?
Like a Quinn Miners situation, I think, maybe.
Wow.
Brandon, where were you fishing? Up in Canada. Were you at an island somewhere? I don't know.
Fishing.
Yeah. Dominic Cavazos.
IT department's not going to be happy about that.
Cavazos. Fishing, yeah. PH, non-traditional spelling there. McManus included y'all in his thank you page. He would have been nothing without Eric, Phil, Ben, or Sydney. That's what
I love our fans. They're
That's
so
what
good.
Dominic says, yeah.
Thanks, Dominic. Swanson, you were in that?
That was a nice.
Oh.
Of course, if you are unfamiliar, Brandon McManus put out a nice thank you page.
He was released
in,
by the team.
at
You
Denver
should mention
Broncos.
that.
Yeah, he's now with the Jaguars.
True.
That's what you have to say.
And he put out a nice little advertisement.
Nice little thing.
Thanked
Thanking a lot of the staff.
many staff members.
Many staff members,
Yeah.
including all of us.
I would have been a little bit perturbed if I wasn't in there.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Would you?
What would you have done about it?
Nothing. I just would have been
quote-tweeted
sad inside.
him? Would you have gone after him?
Yeah, I would have said, Brandon, does that story I did with you about the Masters par 3 tournament 3 years ago, does that mean nothing to you?
That's true.
But I guess it meant something.
But it meant something, yeah.
Your friend Chris Hall
He was also on
mentioned.
there, yeah. Yeah, I texted him.
How many people listening to this podcast do you think remember Chris Hall?
Everybody. Dedication.
That was a long time ago.
Yeah.
I don't think YouTube wasn't invented yet.
I don't think so. I know, yeah. Panorama Black. Great coverage, boys.
Thank you.
Cindy H. Yes, Phil, remember the Titans. That's a good movie. We talked about our favorite
I know,
football
I remember
movies
that
last
part.
week. I don't know if you remember that. J. Prez Bronk.
Here we go.
Patrick, thank you. Outside of the division, which game do you guys think is the most important?
Oh.
Outside of the division, which game do you think is the most important?
This is. All right, should we answer it?
Yeah, you can answer it.
This isn't going to be like a popular pick, but I feel that Green Bay Packers game at home.
Ooh, that could be a nice one.
I feel like it feels like a must win because you play
stretch.
You play the Chiefs, then you play the Jets, then the Chiefs, then the Packers at home, and then you play the Chiefs again. That's a really tough stretch. You play the Bills right after the bye there. So you can't afford to just go on a good teams that make the playoffs don't go on 4-game losing streaks.
Correct. We've talked about that a lot.
And we've had plenty of practice. We've talked about it.
We do, yeah.
And so I think to avoid, and I'm not saying that the Broncos are definitely going to lose those other games, but those are tough games.
Yeah.
Among the toughest on
this
your
one an
schedule.
important one.
And so to be able to get a home win and just kind of come out of that stretch with something
Yeah.
feels important. I look at the schedule and I think, can you get to the bye at like 4-4 maybe? If you want
Yeah.
to do that, that feels like one you probably need to get, especially
get
against
it.
a younger quarterback. So
Yeah.
I'd pick that one.
I kind of keep thinking about that Miami game. Not in terms of like it's a must win, but more of like that's going to be a good measuring stick just to see like where this team is early in the season.
It'd be a big win if you go down there and win that one. Oh, my
gosh. It would be big.
Vic, Bradley,
Chubb. Yeah.
McDaniel.
Yeah.
What do you think about McDaniel?
Oh, you kind of got to do
what Pat did.
Yeah, that's what
Simmons.
Yep, exactly. You got to
lie. I think
his fans there are Heat fans.
Yeah, for those unfamiliar, he was asked, because he's a Colorado native, does he want the Nuggets or Heat to win? And he said the Nuggets can wait another year.
Yeah. I don't think he really feels that way.
Well, but he's friends with
right.
Spo now, so.
Oh, you think so? You think
that's
they
what
texted?
That's what he said.
Oh.
He said he spent some time with him.
Oh, interesting.
Patrick got him his number.
Yeah, yeah. Beach Bum 63.
Can always count on the bums.
This is attempt number 2. So I must have skipped over it last time.
Oh, God.
Yeah. I've been thinking, why don't the Broncos have the South Park Riders do the schedule release next year? The South Park Riders. I think they've been busy with Casa Bonita.
You think so?
Yeah, they're getting that. Casa Bonita is about to reopen here. I don't know if you've been paying attention.
I did think I saw that somewhere.
Yeah, there will be the divers, you know. People are interested in, you know, what the food is going to be like, you know. They've been busy with that.
They've been busy.
You know. So a couple of other ones here. Patrick Colborn. Drink every time they pronounce hooves differently. Hooves.
You'd be in bad shape.
Talking about
You'd be in bad shape.
LMAO, love the show, guys. He says, buck 'em up.
Can you read that? You did.
Just did.
I don't know.
I think it's fine.
I think so, yeah. Bucky.
Yeah.
That's why we were talking about hooves last time.
Yep.
Hoofs.
Okay.
Swanson?
Sure. Whatever.
What we were talking about jersey numbers too. ERS Rocky says, what was Vaughn's number before he had the famous 58?
40.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I think that's what he wears now too, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, was that like a trivia question, or he's curious?
No, I think I think that he was just wondering.
Yeah, 40. He wore 40 at A&M, right? And then
Yeah.
wore it 1 year here?
No, he never wore 40.
He didn't wear it here.
No, just 58 here.
I thought when he first got here, did he wear it in the preseason?
Not that I recall.
No, he did not. He never wore 40 here.
I thought when he first got here, preseason, I've seen a photo of him wearing 40 in Broncos gear.
I don't think so.
I don't know about this.
I don't know what goes on upstairs with you sometimes. You know, it's like a scary.
Let's fact check and find that photo.
You find that photo, please.
And I see some off-season rookie camp stuff where he's wearing 58. So I don't know how he would change his number to 40
maybe.
and then back.
Maybe it's just something crazy. J. Prez Bronc also commented and said, getting silly with Philly needs to be a segment. Getting silly with Philly.
I like that.
That could be nice.
Finally a content piece.
I found it.
It's probably been photoshopped. How do you know it's real? I don't think so.
What is that from?
Yeah, who knows?
This is from the Panini rookie premiere. He wore 40.
Yeah, but that's not his actual number.
In his rookie card, he's wearing 40.
Find me the photo. Find me that photo.
YouTube people see it? YouTube.
YouTube.
I don't know if we have the rights to that photo. You can get it for like $10.
eBay?
Sorry for yelling.
Did you go to eBay already?
I knew I was right.
All right. Well, I think that those are all the comments. Thank you very much for all of those.
You're welcome.
I don't think.
What, you think that's
you
fake?
could doctor an image? Yeah, of course I do.
I mean,
How
it
easy
was
would
not
that be?
his actual
wore it.
number.
Huh?
It was not his actual number.
Yeah, that
He
too.
wore it.
That too, no.
So if Marvin Mims isn't 83 when the season starts, you can say he was never 83?
It wasn't
Did
even
Vaughn
his
wear it
number
in a
at practice.
He wore it on the rookie card.
Show me the photo, the original photo of the photo that's in the rookie card. That's what I want. Does that make sense?
What? This is the original photo.
The photo that you held up, a photo of him wearing 40 on a practice field, right?
I think it's, this thing?
Yeah. Find that photo.
It's right here.
Yeah, I want the original image. Who
Okay.
took that photo?
It says
don't know?
Ben Swanson.
Yeah, that's not true.
Photo rights. Photo rights. Okay, well, are you over that or no?
No, I won't be. I don't think.
Let's get into our first topic.
And you're like, is there proof? And I'm like, yeah, here. And you're like, that's not proof.
that could
first
be
time.
AI. Who knows?
That's true. Yeah. AI goes back further than you remember.
Yeah. Yeah. All right, let's get into our first topic here, talking about this Broncos secondary. It's week 2 of OTAs, and we heard from Justin Simmons today. We heard from Pat Surtain again today.
Again.
And, I think it's easy to get excited about the potential for this secondary, Eric. And they talked about a lot of different things. Let's start out with what Justin Simmons, he was asked to describe what a Sean Payton practice right now looks like, and he said educational.
Yeah.
How would you describe what you've seen out there?
Yeah, I mean, Sean's very involved and hands-on and instructive. I think we've seen different approaches over the years, right, as we've gone through different head coaches. I believe it was Vic Fangio who, if a rep was messed up, he wasn't into the, hey, do it again. He was into, okay, go to the next rep. We've got limited time here.
Keep it going.
We're going to run as many plays as we can, and then we'll go look at the film and we'll correct it. This, it seems like with Sean, is different in that he, if he sees something, he's gonna coach you up. He's gonna call it out. I've seen a couple times from up on the hill where we watch practice, him walking over to the wide receivers and saying, "Hey, do this or do that, or on this route, here's what you need to do." Those things, I think, are helpful when you, in the moment, can then register, okay, this is the play he's talking about. I remember exactly what happened. Now I'm able to make this correction, as opposed to a few hours later, you're still seeing it, and I'm sure it still sinks in to some degree, but having that immediate feedback is probably helpful. And it sounds like that's happening both on the offensive and defensive side of the ball, according to what Justin is talking about.
Yeah. And it seems like everything is like at a pretty rapid pace too. Like when they change like periods or whatever, they're into the next thing like really quickly. Like there's just not a lot of wasted time out there. And I would say just in general, when you talk to Sean Payton, he's got a sort of a teacher sort of quality to the cadence of it and the way he talks, it's like he's trying to explain something to you always. And so that's good for a head coach, I guess.
It's like, I kind of talk to you.
Yeah. Where am I? What am I doing?
I do think I can't remember who, it must have been Peter King, right? Who told you at one point that he learned more about football from Sean Payton than anybody.
Yeah.
And, you look back at the press conferences on Thursday, I thought that I was thinking of that Peter King quote as I was standing there, because he was asked about, hey, how does Damari Mathis, what sort of challenge does he face when Pat Surtain is so good? Yeah. And Sean said, well, there's, that's more of a problem in man than it is in zone. And in zone, down, we can roll a safety over and play cloud coverage, or on third down, then you've really got to be a little bit more aggressive. I mean, those sorts of things you kind of inherently know about the game, but hearing him explain them, he makes it very digestible and easy to understand. He talked about that. I mean, we're going to talk about Greg Dulcich later, but he talked about the way to use Greg Dulcich the same way. I mean, you stand there and you feel like you're getting smarter about the sport of football when you listen to Sean, and I'd imagine it's the same thing both in the film room and on the field. And
Sean was even asked about, like, hey, how are the guys picking up things? Like, what's going on? And he was like, look, we're doing a lot of installation right now, but if there's something that, like, Russ likes the way it's been described previously, he's like, then us as a coaching staff will learn that, and then we'll just use that because he's already familiar with it. So, like, there's a little bit of give and take there. And, just it's got to be hard for some of these guys, just to, like, continuously learn and, like, adapt to a new head coach, a new system, to new whatever they're doing. But at the end of the day, I guess it's still football.
Right.
So you just got to learn.
Yeah, there's still that element of it. Yeah. But to have somebody who can teach it and, make it digestible and understandable and those sorts of things is important.
Yeah. So he talked about that. Justin Simmons did a little bit, and then he also just talked about the importance of having some continuity here with the secondary. Of course, Christian Parker, the secondary coach, is one of 2 coaches that were retained by Sean Payton. Kareem Jackson is back. So this secondary with Damari Mathis, it's still what we saw last year.
Yeah, you could return all the starters depending on what happens there at safety, at corner, opposite Pat Surtain. But it's possible that if all 5 with K'Wan Williams are the same starters back there, you have Christian Parker. It's a good group that is obviously has individual talent, but I think plays well together. Don't have a lot of mental breakdowns. It'll be interesting to see how they transition to what Vance Joseph wants to do. Obviously, I don't know how much I'd mess with a good thing, but we've heard Pat Surtain talk about, if I had the opportunity to play a little bit more zone, could maybe have more interceptions, as opposed to he's just so good at man coverage and press man that
too good. He looked too good.
Well, he ruins the route, and so that it's never going to get thrown over there.
Yeah.
And so, if you play a little bit of zone, maybe there's an opportunity there. In terms of how they go about embracing the Vance Joseph system, it was interesting hearing Justin talk about, hey, Vance is a lot more involved now than he was as a head coach. I think Justin said he's talked to him more in the last few weeks than he did in 2 years when Vance was the head coach. And that just has to do with the responsibilities you have and what you're able to do and how much time you can devote. But obviously, I think you want Vance Joseph to know, hey, how do our best players feel about this, and how does this highlight the strengths of our best players? Yeah. And so the fact that he's having these conversations with a Simmons, with a Surtain, that's important.
Yeah, and I think what Surtain was talking about, just finding out ways to make more plays, like putting him in situations that he can do that. So, and just I think that maybe more than any other position group, it's important to have some continuity there, just because they feed off of each other so much, and there's it's
kind of like the offensive line of the defense,
Yeah, I guess that's true. Yeah,
you know what I mean.
Like if you have like a significant error, the play's over.
Yeah.
So I guess that in some way it is that way.
When the chemistry along the offensive line really matters. Hey, can you count on the guy next to you to be doing the right thing? Yeah. Kind of the same thing in the secondary.
Yeah. Blowing assignments just ruined the entire play. So, that's a good point. Just having those. Hey, I'm sure that Justin and Kareem and even with Caden now that he's been around a while, just some of those even just a head nod or hey, you see this, right? Yeah, okay, we know what we're doing here is important. And even Justin was asked about, hey, what's it like being a safety there in the center of the field when you have a guy like Surtain out there, and just how much easier it makes everything. So those guys playing with each other for a long time here makes that a better unit.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And you see these guys spend a ton of time together.
Yeah.
Sean Payton was talking earlier today about what makes the Nuggets a good team, and he was talking about one, unselfish stars, but also, hey, it looks like these guys spend a lot of time together off the court, enjoy being around each other. When you're at a Broncos practice for years now, when they're doing kind of a special teams period, or maybe the younger guys are getting some work, Kareem, Justin, Pat, those guys are hanging out. K'Wan, they're hanging out in the same area on the side of the field, sometimes with a Christian Parker. I'm sure whether they're chatting about football or not, developing that chemistry that translates to the field.
We've seen K-Jack and Justin Simmons at Nuggets games together. Yeah. I think they hang out, with each other.
They're kind of like us.
We're courtside.
Yep.
Later, somebody were hey, are you guys going to the Nuggets game tonight? And we're yes, of course we are.
Of course.
Yeah.
Hey, are you guys going to the Nuggets game tonight?
Yeah, we're going to be courtside.
Oh, okay.
That's where all of us are going.
I like your hat. Yeah. Oh, you're not wearing a hat. Why didn't you get a hat?
Finals hat?
Look at my hat.
I think Phil's waiting for the next hat.
Yeah.
Oh, game one winner.
Hat. One game at a time.
Hat after each game?
I don't think they do that.
No, okay.
Yeah, it says 1-0 on the side.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That'd be kind of cool.
That would be kind of cool. You could collect all of them. That would be kind of cool.
Game 3L. You collect that one or no?
I don't know what that is.
Yeah, I don't.
Do the Nuggets lose? I don't think they lose anymore.
Yeah. So, what Sean Payton was asked, hey, are you going to the game? He's like, yeah, some of my college buddies are here. We're all going to go.
Yeah, that's great.
So, yeah. But it was interesting. He said, we all played quarterback. Do you think that's like different generations of quarterbacks?
He made it. Well, he's called them
Like, you
college.
think Tony Romo is coming in or no?
Yeah.
Jimmy G coming in? He's like, yeah, some of my college buddies.
I took that to mean like people he went to college with.
Got it. But he
That's what
said
I
they
thought,
all
too.
played quarterback. So, like, you think it's that quarterback room?
Have you seen a college
Is there?
football team?
They have like 17 guys, right? Yeah.
There are 300 players on a college football team.
Yeah. That's true.
Northwestern played 8 quarterbacks last year. They're all just hanging out.
So that's what you meant. That's what you thought.
I suspect it's like maybe a couple of guys are a little bit older,
Got it.
but like
Some
still
younger.
in college together.
God, they were there all together.
All together
Yeah.
at one moment in time.
At one moment. Yeah. That's nice.
Frozen forever.
The last thing to talk
Friendship.
about forever, yeah. Immortalized. The bonds.
Never to be forgotten.
You know, you can live all different parts of the country, but what they can never take away is the memories.
That's right.
You know, that's forever.
There's a lot of ships in the sea, Phil.
That's true. What happens if
What
they
should we
pass
talk-
each other at night?
Oh,
You don't see it.
what about the best?
Miss.
The best ships are friendships, though.
That also is true.
Yeah.
A lot of ship references. I wonder why that is. You know, sayings. You know. Anyway, the last thing to talk about with the secondary here is about Pat Surtain and where his game can go. How can he take? Is there another step for him to take? Maybe a half step. I don't know what when you're all pro. What are you even supposed to do? You're just like
Do it
that was
again, I think, is part
that
of
was
it.
it. Yeah. So what is what can he do? And then also it's time this time of year, it's time for rankings. Everybody's like, oh, here's my position rankings. For whatever reason, wide receiver and cornerback seem to be like the position where you're like, here's my rankings.
Well, I don't
Quarterback,
think
too.
I don't think you have to be very
Quarterback,
like you don't have to know a lot about football. You can just be like, that guy does cool things.
Yeah. Yeah, that's you mean like the wide receivers?
Like it'd be hard to be for me to be like, here are my top 10 guards.
That's true. Where does
So Sean values guards according to Ben Powers.
where does Ben Powers rank?
Top 2.
Yeah. Him and Quinn.
Yep.
They're right up there. So what do you think about Pat, where he can improve? And then also, he says he doesn't care about those rankings, but I feel like maybe he does.
You're like, but I don't believe
But
it.
I don't believe you.
Well, one, I do think there's value in just doing it again, right?
Of course.
The same thing, and proving that this is not a one-off situation or like Pat's not going to have. I would be surprised if this is his last first-team All-Pro, obviously, just how early he is in his career. But there is a difference between like every other season or every 3 seasons being that guy and doing it every year. And I don't expect that he's going to be a first-team All-Pro every single year, but you know, this is a guy that we've talked about have Hall of Fame potential.
Yeah.
You got to get 4 or 5 of those first-team All-Pros, and so can he stack another one? I mean, that would be really impressive to me. I do think at some point in his career, and who knows if it's this year, I think the offense and the team need to be good for this to happen, but he's certainly got the talent to be in the Defensive Player of the Year conversation.
Yep.
He would need more interceptions. I don't think you need 10 per se, but you probably need more than 5, certainly.
What, Justin had 6 last year?
Yeah.
That was tied for the lead in the league.
Yes.
So maybe if he led the league,
If he
that's
led the
probably
league in
good enough.
interceptions, was a lockdown guy, the team was good, then it's possible. I mean, I think Peter King at the halfway point of the season had him 3rd.
Mentioned, yeah.
And so you also, sacks are a little bit of a trendier stat. You probably need some of these guys to not go crazy.
Yeah.
But that to me is where I see his next step in terms of what he can do. And a lot of it is, if you just said, Pat has another first-team All-Pro season, I'd sign up for that right now, obviously. That's a great year. In terms of where he ranks, Phil, for whatever reason, Sauce has become...
He's become like that hot name that
hot
everybody's
name.
like, he's number 1.
And I don't know if it's because he wore a cheesehead or just because, he did make some big plays.
That's a flash.
Let's not discount that.
Yeah,
but,
of course. He's really good.
The fact he did it as a rookie, did it in New York, obviously help, and he's a good player. I do think he got away with some
Holding?
potential pass interference calls, like that one against Cortland.
Yeah.
Against the Jets, that probably should have been a penalty. I think there was one other one, maybe when they beat the Bills. I think he was holding Diggs or Gabriel. What's his name?
Everybody holds a little, you know.
But
Except, of course, Pat.
You're probably right. You're probably talking about Pat as a top 3 guy at worst.
Yeah. Well, here's what PFF had. They had Sauce Gardner, Jalen Ramsey, which he's been toward the top for a long time.
Yep.
Darius Slay is 3, Surtain 4, Jair Alexander 5, Stephon Gilmore 6, Marshawn Lattimore 7, Trayvon Diggs 8, J.C. Horn 9, and Jamel Dean 10. Is it Jamel? Yeah, I don't know that one. I don't know. He plays for the Buccaneers.
Cares.
That was good.
Got him.
That was good.
Let's be clear. While you were reading that list, Swanson had to turn his microphone off to yawn. So that's a
Boring list.
Yeah. Who's 11 through 22?
They don't have
let's
it.
keep going.
Yeah, I don't have it. I just did 10. A lot of lists, for some reason, go to 10. It's kind of crazy.
Who knows why?
Yeah, who knows why? But Surtain at 4 seems off.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's what do you value, right? Like those first 3 guys seemingly make like bigger plays in terms of interceptions.
Yeah.
But there's more to the game than that. You've got to be a good football player and be consistent.
Yeah.
I don't know how you watch, and certainly Surtain got all the recognition last year. Like it's not like
He got what's important, not the list.
But I don't see how you could look at Surtain and not be like, that's the guy.
Yeah, exactly. And Sean Payton was asked about him today. He was like, look, you look at the physical traits that he has. That's like what you want. Did I say? Did I do it silly?
Swanson just made a funny face.
Oh, what did I do? The physical traits. Sorry,
Yeah.
I was trying to.
Physical school.
I tried to say skills. It was a combination of things there. Talked about the physical traits he has. He said that's what you want.
Yep.
Then you add the skills that he has, and he is an elite cornerback. Is essentially what he is.
The physical skills, and then you add the skills.
And then the regular skills. There's a lot of skills there.
Perfect.
It's nice.
Do you think he has a particular set of skills?
Yeah, and he'll find it. He'll find you. He'll find the
If you're a
ball.
wide receiver, he'll find
He'll
you.
find you. Yeah.
And he will take you.
He'll kill you. Yeah. The other thing that Sean said that was interesting was a lot of these guys on this list are younger players.
Yeah.
You know, Surtain certainly.
Sauce. Jair's
Diggs
pretty
is
young.
still pretty young. Jair is still pretty young. J.C. Horn, taken before.
J.C. Horn is on that list?
You weren't listening, huh? He was
No,
9.
it was really boring.
We had him at 9. Yeah.
What?
Huh? Yeah, that's where they had him. I don't know. That's where
Swanson, could you look up what J.C. Horn did last year?
Nothing. Who cares? Ike's going to love this episode.
13 games, 13 starts.
13? I thought there were 17 games.
Three interceptions, 7 passes defensed, 53 total tackles, 2 tackles for loss, 1 quarterback hit.
Yeah, that's enough.
Boring.
That's gonna get clipped.
Boring.
3 picks. Perfect. That's what I wanted to know. How many picks did he have?
Yeah.
Okay, and he didn't play at all his first year, basically, right? He broke his foot or something?
Yeah, he
ankle?
got injured early on. He played 3 games.
Okay. I like my corners to play football.
Yeah. Yeah.
Pat plays football.
Yeah. That's true. That's knock on wood.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. Maybe he doesn't care about these lists. He's like, hey, I care about all pros. That's the most important thing to him. But I do think that these guys are all uber competitive. They don't drive for Uber. They make way too much to drive for Uber. They're uber competitive.
Lyft is
Not-
uber competitive, right?
Yeah, exactly.
I would say that a guy like Pat probably, you hear these guys, oh, team goals matter to me. I bet for, jeez.
That's how you said it.
I bet Pat actually feels that way because he's been on good teams for so long. Like,
He wants to win.
did he won a state title, right, in high school?
Yeah, he won everything.
Yeah.
He won everything.
won everything.
At Alabama, they won natties. And then you come here and you've been objectively not good for 2 years. He's probably like, I miss being good.
Yeah,
And so to him,
let's be good. Let's do the good.
Let's do the good football.
Yeah.
And that, he's won all these awards. An all-pro is great to him. He probably enjoys being top of that list or whatever if he were, but
He wants to win.
he wants to win.
Yeah.
This is
that's
a guy
why he
that's-
does it.
These guys have never. We have some players on this team that have not won before, which becomes an issue in itself.
But he's won.
But he's won, and so to then not win, that's almost got to be more frustrating, right? Because you're like, I know what it's like to go to Alabama and win every single game and win natties and be on ESPN every week, and
Would you say winners win?
I would say that.
What do losers do?
Unfortunately, they lose.
They lose.
Players play.
Players play, yeah.
Swanson, what do coaches do?
They coach.
It's true.
It's just everybody
It's
has
what
a
they
role.
do.
Yeah, it's what everybody has a role. So, should we move on to Greg Dulcich a little bit here? Dulcich.
Let's do it.
Sean Payton was asked about his practice today. Said he had one of his better practices.
Yeah.
We don't really report what happens in practice unless Sean Payton brings it up.
Well, he was asked about a specific play, so can we reference that play?
I guess, yeah. Tell him.
He was asked about a long catch that Greg Dulcich
Yeah.
had. It was nice.
And it was good.
That's all I can say.
And
it was
that's what
good.
happened. And then that's what happened on Thursday.
Yeah, all right. Time for
And
shout-outs.
He said he had a nice practice, and he said that he could be that joker type of player, that wild card player for the Broncos, that he has the speed plus the skills.
Physical?
Yeah, skills. A lot of skills there. That he said there's some things that you see there and you get excited about it, Eric. And he talked about like that joker player in his offense previously. That's a Reggie Bush. That's an Alvin Kamara. Is Greg? He didn't want to. He didn't want to.
He said more names, but you don't remember them.
Well, no. Then he started talking about tight ends that he's coached before.
I think he said one more running back.
Oh, did he?
Yeah.
What did he say?
I don't know.
But then he talked about other tight ends that he's coached.
Was
Obviously,
Sproles ever on that team?
I think he's coached.
I think he said
Sproles.
I think he said
Sproles. Then he talked about tight ends that he's coached.
Yep, Shockey.
Some of the great Jason Witten he's coached.
Jimmy Graham.
Jimmy Graham he mentioned. Yep. And he didn't want to say that Dulcich was one of those guys yet, but he that's all. He was throwing out some praise.
Yeah, we haven't heard Sean talk a lot about individual guys. I think the last time he was asked about Greg Dulcich was back at the NFL annual meeting. Phil, you and I were there.
We were at was that a breakfast?
It was breakfast.
Yeah, it was breakfast.
And he was asked about Greg Dulcich, and he said, "Listen, it's kind of hard to evaluate what some of these guys can do because of how
what the film looked like
the
last
film
year."
looked like."
He did
It's
say that.
suggesting essentially that things were just so disjointed that it's hard to get real evaluations. And now that he's been with Greg Dulcich, to call him that joker type player, one is high praise. I think it speaks to what we saw from Greg Dulcich. Like when I think back, good moments from last year,
Chargers game.
a lot of them had to do with Greg Dulcich.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Just in terms of, hey, this guy's a little bit different.
He diff.
He diff. Where like in Jerry Jeudy's diff, I would say.
He's diff.
But the Broncos need guys that can give you an advantage in a one-on-one matchup. And Phil, this is what I've been. Well, one, this is another example of him explaining football and teaching things that's really fascinating.
Yeah.
But this is what I've been waiting for in terms of, we talk about Sean Payton from an accountability standpoint and discipline, and he knows how to win, and he's been there before. But this is his offensive mind at work.
Yeah.
Right? Like we talked about, hey, what advantage can Sean Payton, the offensive coordinator, have?
Yeah.
The play caller, and for him to say, okay, well, we can put Greg Dulcich in a situation where he can win this matchup, or it gives us a little bit of an edge. That to me is a really good sign. And we spent all last year, Phil, talking about, is this going to be Nathaniel Hackett's offense? Is it going to be Russell Wilson's offense? Is it going to be a mix between the two? One, I think it's clear that this is the Sean Payton system, but it's not just, I think we talked to people when he was hired. They said, listen, it's not going to be exactly what they did with Drew Brees. And I think this is a good example of he's taking the players they have and finding ways to help them be great and finding the vision, as he keeps saying, for different guys. And in this case, it's Greg Dulcich, but you can just imagine him doing this with Jerry Jeudy. Imagine him doing it when Javonte Williams is able to go full speed. I mean, this sort of thing is exciting just in terms of the way he's going to be able to use guys.
Yeah, just the way like he talks about it. You're like, oh gosh, this guy recognizes that there's traits about Dulcich, his size, his speed. This is a mismatch. How do we accentuate that and make that a big part of what we're trying to do here?
Yeah.
And he said that that's sort of what you do, like in the season, is that you try to find these things and attack with it.
Well, too many times last year, and I don't want to just bash the offense from last year, but there were questions of like, okay, well, what formations should we be running? Week to week, it was different. I don't think because of the game plan, just because they were trying to figure out what worked. Whereas it seems to me with Sean Payton, again, this vision, he's going to have a very good idea going into each week of, hey, if we're in 22 personnel and we then motion Dulcich out wide and he's got this corner on him, boom, we're good.
Yeah.
And that's obviously just a made up example there, but I think he's got that mind of how can we get Greg Dulcich in a position where even if it's 5 plays a game, he's going to have just a slight edge. And then you let the physical tools of Greg Dulcich take over. Or how can we get Jerry Jeudy in a spot where 5 times a game, the opposing defensive coordinator is holding their breath thinking, gosh, I hope this doesn't go for 6. Or you force the other team to burn a timeout because in the red zone they see Greg Dulcich is matched up with a slot corner and that's game over. So those sorts of things, the fact that Sean Payton is is sharing those things about what he sees, that is one of the more encouraging things in my mind of the entire offseason.
Yeah, I mean, because we've talked about this a lot where you see other players around the league like Travis Kelce, like, gosh, he just like killed that game.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And you're like, how do they always find ways to get him the ball? And like that happened all the time in New Orleans, and we talked about Dulcich maybe being that guy for the Broncos, just a unique specimen, really a specimen.
Wow.
I was in the cafeteria.
Yeah, and listen, Greg is fast. He's got great hands, great hair. He has
the flow is important.
I mean, behind and we'll have to see how they use like a Cortland or a Marvin Mims or Tim Patrick, but just kind of at a baseline level, I think you could argue that after Jerry Jeudy, Greg Dulcich could be the most unique weapon that they have.
Most definitely. I mean, he brings things to the table that make it hard for an opposing defense to cover it.
Right.
Whereas, like, other guys, like, when they come out, like, when Manhurts is out there, you're like, what he's really good at. And, like, that's what they're going to try to do with him.
Making the other man hurts.
Manhurts. Yeah. That's nice.
Swanson?
Great. Yep.
So just encouraging. I'm excited to see what it looks like. I do think you're slowly – we don't know exactly what this is going to be. I still don't think we know entirely. You might not know until week 1. I could imagine, even though they're going to play in the preseason, some very vanilla approaches, but you're getting some signs that would suggest, and listen, Sean's history has suggested he'll do this.
Yeah.
But encouraging to see it in practice.
We just got to make sure that those hammies are nice.
Yes.
He's in shape.
Knock on wood again.
You want those to be nice. He said that he's never really had a hamstring problem until last year.
Yep.
So hopefully that's not like a thing with him.
Okay. Knock on wood again.
Knock on wood again. Yep. Knock on wood. I do think that what if you're like a defender and you're in trail coverage and that hair is back there, you know what I mean? And then it like kind of gets lost in your face mask. You're like, what is happening? Boom.
Yeah.
I mean, that's an advantage.
You technically can tackle people by the hair, and it's not a penalty.
That's true. It's like part of the jersey, I believe.
Kind of rude, but you can do it. I think somebody, I can't remember who it was, once upon a time got ripped down by
Marshawn Lynch, was it?
Was it him?
I think so. And then he picked up the piece of his hair. I think he got tackled, and then he picked up the piece of hair.
Highlight reels dedicated.
Was it Al?
YouTube is a crazy place.
Harris? Was he like a DB for the Packers? Does that sound familiar?
Maybe.
I feel like he might have had long hair and like had an interception and got tackled.
Oh, and he got tackled with it. Yeah.
I could have made that whole thing up.
No, I think that checks out in my head at least.
Perfect.
So that's a good sign.
I'm less certain now.
Surtain? Okay. Anything else you'd like to talk about?
No, I don't think so. I'm excited to see Greg and in terms of guys with potential to take a big step forward this year, he's got to be near the top of the list.
Yeah. I mean, last year was a difficult rookie year for him. had the couple of bright moments that we talked about there during his rookie season, but you did think, okay, they took him early in the draft. Let's see what he can eventually become. And if you use him the right way, he could just take off.
He could just soar.
Like an eagle or something? Yeah.
Maybe like his hair could flap or something.
Ooh, he's not bald. Like bald eagle. Soaring,
No, opposite of that.
Yeah, the opposite. Yeah, very much the opposite. Yeah. Okay, well, is it time for shout-outs, Eric?
I think so.
Okay, anyone you'd like to shout out?
Well, we've talked a lot about the Denver Nuggets, Phil.
Yeah.
Shout out to them as they. Some people will listen to this before they play, but some people
Game one
might.
is tonight.
Some people might listen to it after. Those are the two options, or you can listen to it during.
Game one always gives me like I'm a little anxious before game one.
Of course.
You know, you want to see, okay, what are the matchups like? How does this thing? You talk about it a lot.
Who's going to be there?
How is it going to look? Who's sitting courtside?
Who's
Where's
wearing
Justin
hats?
Simmons?
How much are those tickets? You know,
Yeah. Did the Peyton Manning hype video work?
yeah. You just wonder all those things.
If the Nuggets, this went around on Twitter, Phil. If the Nuggets win the title, where does it rank among Denver sports championships?
I think one thing that people, well, look, first of all, we must say, let's not get ahead of ourselves with winning it, talking about that.
Okay, well, most
Just a
people in
little
the
bit
city have already
necessary.
declared, like, they've
I don't
scheduled
like,
the parade.
I don't like doing
They've scheduled
I
the
don't like
parade.
doing that. So I'm not trying to get ahead of anything, but I do think that people need to realize there's like a healthy basketball tradition with the Nuggets here. They've had a lot of really good players over the years, some really good teams. But like in the late 90s, like early 2000s, you certainly through the Carmelo times, like superstars didn't want to play in Denver. And like there's this notion that like Denver's never going to be like that kind of place. So for this to all sort of come together the way that it has, it is sort of special. It's sort of a magical.
It's magical.
Yeah, it is magical, you know. And so,
Tearing up.
and like,
Are you going to answer the question?
I know that there's a lot of like talk about like the Nuggets using this sort of chip on their shoulder, like they don't get enough respect.
They weren't there.
And that kind of stuff. Yeah, like, you know, I'm a little bit. I don't think that you could necessarily play that card against the Heat.
No.
You know, that worked against the Lakers, and that, you know, if the Nuggets used that to their advantage, that was good. That was a nice card to use. I don't think you can really play that against the Heat. And it's certainly harder now that everybody's picking the Nuggets to win. So you can't really do that either. So where was I going with that?
That's a good question.
I just just talking about like woe is us and like that sort of a thing.
Where would this championship rank
get
among
into that? I'm just like kind of get into it. That you know, it's a nice little.
Has to end sometime.
I think that it would be right after Super Bowl 32. I think is where I put it. What do you think about that?
I'm not as steeped in the history and the tradition of Denver sports. I obviously have an understanding of Broncos history, but I don't like the first Avs title, for example. I don't have a good sense of like how
That's
much.
the first championship that was in the city.
Yeah.
And there was sort of at that time, there was like a little bit of a thought like, oh, that pushed the Broncos too, because for so long the Broncos were like knocking on the door to bring the first championship to Denver.
They were like, now
and
we
then the
should win.
Avs just show up and win it, you know? And so that was like another part of it too.
I do think even though the Nuggets fever has taken over the town and there are shirt stands at your local convenience store or gas station, I felt more energy last year with the Avs.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I don't think so. I sort of disagree, I guess. The part of me is like you have to have some hurt to make it extra special. And there's a lot of hurt that's gone on with the Nuggets. The Avs have like just always been really good.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And like they like shut up, won a Stanley Cup in '96. A few years later, 2001, win a championship. Now that one was special with Bork, you know, and it was just like there was hurt there because the year before they almost did it. Then the next year they win it with him. That was special. But the Nuggets have just had so much difficulty, never beaten the Lakers, you know, then they finally get over that hump. Now they're in the finals for the first time. I do think that there's something special about that.
Yeah, of course it's special.
Makes it
I would probably put it third behind the Avs.
Which Avs championship?
The first one.
The first one.
Yeah, just this city's first championship.
So
I think
you would
it's
say
nice.
32 is one?
Yeah, of course.
Then 2 is Avs in 96.
Yeah.
And then if the Nuggets are able to.
Yeah, and then the Heat. Oh, no. The Nuggets, yeah.
Of course, last
Where
podcast,
would a Heat victory rank in terms of Miami championships?
I don't know. What would you think?
I don't know. Probably not very high.
Oh,
Though I guess if you were an 8 seed that were in the playing game, it probably would be among the more satisfying titles, probably.
they're the second 8 seed to ever make the finals. There's something special about that.
Dallas?
New York Knicks.
Oh.
Yeah. New York Knicks. Of course, they lost to the Spurs in 5.
Of course. Will history repeat itself? Dun, dun, dun. No, I mean, good luck to the Nuggets. I think
Oh, thank you.
it should
Thank you.
should
I
be
do think
fun.
Even though your personal friend, Eric Spoelstra,
That's
Yeah, your
true.
personal friend.
Even despite that, being from
You
South
hang
Florida,
out with Jimmy all the time, right?
yeah, and
You drink
yeah.
coffee.
I mean, you could argue that if you're a Broncos fan and a Demaryius Thomas fan, you should root for Jimmy Butler.
I don't think so. Sorry.
That's how I'm going to view it.
That's not how I view it. I just don't.
No, I think the Nuggets will have a nice little series here.
We'll have to see. We'll have
Yeah.
to see. I just told you that you get anxious before the first game. How are you feeling, Swanson?
I feel pretty good. Like immediately after Game
good take.
7, immediately after Game
Nice.
7 of Heat Celtics, I was feeling great.
You were feeling really good then.
Yeah, I was like, Jokic is going to average like 70 points and 40
Yeah.
rebounds.
I will say,
That'd be great.
this week I did have, this is true, I had a dream that the Nuggets won a game. I don't know if it was game 1 or not, but they won a game this series by 100 points.
I'll say
Grounded in reality.
It was a dream. And I remember being confused. I'm often confused, but then I woke up and I was like, how did they win by 100? Then I was like, oh, it was a dream.
I've
guess we'll see
tempered
tonight.
my expectations a little bit, just reading more
The
about
Miami's
the
got a
Heat
lot of good
defense
players.
and their depth. Good team. So
Jimmy,
and
Bam,
obviously
good
sometimes
squad.
you're just hot. And
Sometimes
You're hot. You're hot.
yeah,
So, but at the time we record, is this an every other day, or do they take like 6 days off between games?
No, I
Three,
think
I think
it's
here and there. And then,
2 days off between, and then there's one where it's 1 day between.
I think,
So
yeah.
today
It's
is
a little bit of a mixed
Thursday. There's
schedule,
probably
yeah.
one Saturday.
I think it's Sunday.
I think it's Sunday.
Perfect. So they'll probably
We got
have
a little
like
more
what
time.
3 games by the time we do another podcast, or 4.
I think they'll have 3 in,
Okay.
and then we'll record again.
So you think the Nuggets will be up 3-0?
I don't want to say something like that. I don't want to. We'll have to see.
Yeah,
We
Game
will.
3 is next Wednesday.
Any other shout outs?
Well, shout out
Liz
Liz
Gerald's, of
Yep.
course. Yeah. Of course, some nice stuff
Good community.
going on in the community.
Did a nice. We had a nice Broncos honors ceremony.
Adam Newman, huh? He is
Yeah.
your Broncos MVP.
MVP.
Operations guru.
That's right. Had a nice little
Had a good season.
celebration for some Broncos employees, recognition of their service. It was a nice little deal.
Yeah.
We got best podcast, I think.
Did
That
we
was
win
kind of one of
one?
those offstage awards where like they don't announce it on the telecast, but
Oh,
like
this was
the AP
on-
does
yeah,
a tweet. They're like
published,
best
yeah.
podcast.
Yeah. That's true. That's probably true. What do you think Sydney thinks about that?
You know, you got to be motivated for next year.
Oh, God. Now she's coming back with a chip on her shoulder.
Exactly.
Yeah. That's true. It's hard to beat this, you know?
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah,
Sure.
the
Stuff,
YouTube
the
comments.
chemistry. Yeah, the YouTube comments.
hard to beat.
They love it. All right. Well, maybe it's time to say goodbye.
I think it might be.
We got to get home and watch the game, turn it on.
We got more
Get
work to do.
Excited. Yeah. Maybe somebody's listening to this as they're driving home and they're
Maybe.
getting ready. So
See how fast
Sorry,
we
I'm
post
getting
it.
ready
There's
for the
excitement.
NBA game. Time to listen to some football talk.
Yep.
like, yep, it makes sense in my head. I don't know. All right. That's going to do it for us. By the time we record another one, we'll be getting ready for game 4.
Wow.
Yeah. For Ben Swanson and Eric Dalala, I am Phil Milani. You've been listening to
The Neutral Zone.